Patrick, it's very nice to have you here in Sofia. Thanks for coming. You're a man with a mission coming here to Bulgaria to obviously bring the good news about Latecoere's activities in Bulgaria, but I'm going to focus on this in a couple of minutes. First, I want the news from you on the global picture about the supplier market for the aviation industry. We see some turbulent times in the post-pandemic period. So how is the ramping up process going on for you in particular, but also for the second tier suppliers that are your suppliers, because you're on the first tier supplying the big players on the market?
Yes, so thank you for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be here in Sofia and to make this interview. Yes, we are coming from the crisis of the COVID. We are coming from the COVID crisis. It was a complicated time for the aeronautic industry. We lost quite 50% of our sales during this pandemic. So the main goal of Latecoere company was to adapt during this pandemic of the COVID, to be sure that we can be ready after it and be stronger and to restart the production and the activity on the aeronautic industry. So we adapt during this pandemic all our footprint, and now the situation is a little bit strange, is that the customer are requesting a lot of products. They want to increase their production because now the world, I would say, is restarting normally, so the people restart to use the plane. And it's complicated for us because we were decreasing the headforce to adapt the load compared to put the capacity in front of the load that we had in the previous years. And now we have a huge demand on manpower all around the world to increase this activity. Our industry is a complex one because we have a huge level of quality which is requested, and we need to be sure by producing more that we will maintain a high level of quality, which is key in the aeronautic industry. So at this time, we are launching a huge volume of recruitment. We have a long lead time of training, which is much more longer than in the automotive industry. Aeronautic industry is a little bit more manual activities. We have some automatization, but we are far from the automotive industry. So the training is long, and connected with this, we are facing lack of resources. This is the first point. Connected with this, we need to maintain the quality level, as I said, and we were facing also on the elementary part production some issue connected with the raw material availability. So we are lucky because we are working with the main customer, Airbus, Boeing, that are protecting their industry also by taking care of this production of raw material, being sure that we will have enough to produce the airplane that they would like to sell after. So we are a little bit protected with them, but it's still a big fight in between the different suppliers of Airbus and Boeing to be sure that we have the raw material on time to produce the product that we have to do. So we have two main topics: resources, well-train them, and raw material issue to be sure that we will be able to deliver the product on time and that we will respect the ramp-up that are requested by the customer.
So naturally, two more questions are following on both those topics, workforce and raw materials and resourcing. I'll start the other way around. First, about the resourcing. We know that there is a war going on here now in Europe, which is connected to the sanctions that the European Union has brought upon Russia, which is one of the main suppliers of raw materials. So how are these impacting your industry? What is the shift in regard to supply of the raw materials? Because we know that Russia was one of the major suppliers of these materials for many companies around the world. So now how are you shifting your focus on that field? And then the second question is going to be about the workforce.
So concerning the raw material, we are more focused now on the US market, of course, but also with Germany. We have also some possibilities there.
Yeah, as suppliers.
Yes, as a supplier. The main raw material that was impacted by the Russia issue and the war is the titanium. On the product that we are doing, Latecoere, we are lucky because the titanium is not so used. We are doing fuselage, part of fuselage of airplanes, and we are doing doors, which is our main activity in the aerostructure side. And the majority of the structure is in aluminium.
Yeah, aluminum alloys and so on.
Yeah, so it's not so critical for us. We have some hard metal on the mechanism of the doors that are small parts that are making the mechanism on the door. We have some of them that are in titanium, but few references. So us, we are not really impacted by this lack of raw material on the titanium market. And for the wiring activity, we are buying connectors and cables, so we have no trouble on this area also. So the issue we have on the raw material is more the management of the need through the different suppliers, because with the ramp up, Airbus and Boeing, they need to manage correctly the allocation of the raw material that they are giving to the supplier that they have. And because we need to be sure that we are going to produce all the parts that are needed for the airplane. And so it's more the allocation of the raw material which is complicated at this time, and where we are fighting us against to be sure to receive it on time and to have it on time, to be able to respect the lead time that we need to have to produce the product and to deliver the final product to the customer.
That was exactly what I was about to ask about, the lead times, because before we know you had quite a lead time ahead, and you knew the roadmap, and now it's probably much more difficult. So the lead times are quite shorter.
Yes, the lead time is the supply chain, I would say, in the aeronautic industry is key. We are compared to the automotive industry, the standardization is not so huge in the aeronautic industry. So for each product, you have different parts to produce, and the parts are not similar in between one airplane to another one, or one type of door that we are doing for Boeing and the type of door that we are doing for Airbus. And also in the same customer activity, Airbus, we are doing the door for A380. We were doing the door for A380. The program, unfortunately, has been stopped. Yeah. A320, we are doing the doors for Boeing, and all the parts are different. So it means that the supply chain is a huge part of our activity, the monitoring of the supply chain. Connected with the COVID, we decided to change the footprint of the Latécoère organization, because we were with a lot of facilities around the world, and we decided to split activities per facility, meaning by this, some of them will be dedicated on elementary part production, some of them will be dedicated on assembly.
Do you consider as a mistake, perhaps, the decision, not only yours, but many companies took that decision to leave part, and not a small part, but quite a large part of its workforce during the crisis, to leave them behind and out of business, and now you're facing these severe difficulties in regard to attracting new labor, and especially training, because you lost quite a lot of well-trained personnel during the crisis. So was that a mistake, and how are you coping that now with this? Is it much harder to find the qualified workforce, and how is the company, is there any plans to subsidize educational-wise the countries that you're working in regard for them to produce more qualified people for your business?
Sure, it's a tricky question. Sure, our to protect the maximum people we can, but the first step was also to protect the company, because if I'm taking example of Latécoère, we lost 50% of our sales during the COVID. So it was impossible to protect all the manpower by dividing by 2 our sales. So our key was to survive through the COVID crisis. And we adapt our footprint and our organization in accordance with the production that we had to produce. We were lucky because as I said, we are working for different customers: Boeing, Airbus, Embraer, Bombardier, Dassault. So this helped us during the COVID crisis, because in reality, Airbus, they continue to produce the A320 program. And us, we were doing half of the volume of the door for this airplane. The rest is done by China.
They just scaled down the production.
So we reduced, of course, the production. Now they want to come back to 75 aircraft per month. At this time, we are at 40, 45. We fall to 30 aircraft per month during the COVID crisis, 25, 30. So we were still producing. So it means that we maintain activities, and we maintain a base of people with the knowledge. That was very important because now that we are restarting, we have two types of training. Sure, we need to train the people on what we call the aeronautic industry. In France, in US, you have this industry, so it's easy to find people with this knowledge or with the skills. In Bulgaria, for example, this doesn't exist at this time, so we need to teach them on the aeronautic industry.
Pure basics.
Yes, and after we need to teach the people and to train them on the product where they are going to work. So by the fact that we don't really reduce to zero our production, maintaining an activity everywhere in the world, we keep a certain volume of people with this knowledge that are helping us now to teach the newcomers that are coming and to be more efficient on the shorter time. One of the goals that we have is to reduce the training period. If we want to reach the ramp up that we have in front of us, we need to adapt really the training of the need that we have for the people. Polyvalence is key, but the polyvalence is taking a long time to train. So we decide for the moment to be focused on the, you are new, you will be trained only on the area or on the product where you are going to work, to reduce the training time, to help us to increase the volume of production, and slowly, for the best worker, for the most efficient one, we are going to increase this polyvalence training during the ramp up of the production, which is a complex organization, but I think is key, because if we want to build polyvalence everywhere, we need 6-7 months to train the people, and it's too long. It's too long, and we cannot face with the ramp up that we have in front of us.
And how much are you focused on retention of the people? Because that's very important, by giving them, for example, a clear career progression path.
Yes.
Because this is what now people are much more likely to look for in the future jobs that they are seeking.
I think which is key is communication. That is the first step. Communication, a clear way where we want to go. We need to well explain where we are. We need to well explain what is the future of the Latecware company and the facility where we are. So in Plovdiv, it's a facility that is going to grow in the future. So we need to well explain to the people where we are, where we want to go. And sure, we need to be attractive. Attractive, what does it mean? It means that the environment needs to be a nice one, okay? We need to have a salary which is in the market price. We need to be attractive also with this, because we see that in Plovdiv a lot of facilities are growing everywhere.
Yeah, benefits as well.
Yes,
yeah.
Not in the aeronautic industry. So we need also to compare.
But still engineering, so they are kind of competition. Yeah.
Yes. So
highly skilled people.
Yeah. We need to take care of this. We need to have a nice benefit also. But I think it's important also to maintain our people with good skills. So meaning by that, we need to maintain an improvement plan in the company to be sure that the people that are joining the group will continue to grow. The goal is not just to take them, to ask them to work, and that's all. You need to give result, and that's all. This is sure is what we want. But if we want to onboard them, we need also to take care of them. And by taking care of them means training them, teaching them, and after to try to keep them with an attractive future. Sure, not all the people will grow in the group or in the facility. We need to have people that will stay, but at the end is also key and important to understand by the communication to have a good management team, middle management team, and to well know our people. I think this is important.
Yeah, and as you said in the beginning, it's communication and transparency.
Yeah.
This is your career progression, so if you want to grow here in the company, this is how it's going to work for you in the future.
Yes.
So you mentioned already a few times Plovdiv and the facility. What are the news regarding Bulgaria? I know that you're going to grow here,
yes.
But growth is now. So
yes, we have
share the news with us.
Yes, so this company started 5 years ago in Plovdiv. This company started, as I said, to offload the Czech Republic company that we have in Prague. I was there before, so I know very well this company, this facility. We were doing in Prague elementary part production, machining, sheet metal, composite, surface treatment activity, and assemblies. So the site was with more than 1,000 people working there. It was a huge site. And when the COVID arrived, we decided not to close the site all around the world, but to change the distribution of the activity. What does it mean? It means that we decide to create some facility only for assemblies and some facility only for elementary part production. And also we decide another big step. We are working for different customers, as I said. Some of them are European one, Dassault, Airbus, and some of them are North American one or South America, so Embraer, Boeing, Bombardier. So we decide to cut into the production and the activity in Latécoère. One is going to move completely to Mexico, where we opened a facility in 2012, 2013. I was there at this time. I created this company in Mexico, so I know very well Hermosillo, where we are. And here we are going to produce all the elementary parts and all the assemblies for North American, Boeing, and also for Embraer. And we have a facility close to Embraer where we are going to make the assembly of the product. And in Europe, we are going to keep two main activities: elementary part production in Czech Republic, okay, as I said, and the assembly activity for Europe will be in Plovdiv. So we already start to load Plovdiv before the COVID by easy production that were the racks of different programs, ATR, A400M, and 350. So metallic structure or composite structure with part manufactured in Czech Republic or in some French supplier. And we moved, just after the COVID, we decided to move to Plovdiv all the A320 assembly line. That is the huge assembly line that we were doing that we were managing in Czech Republic, and we transferred this activity to Plovdiv. The transfer has been achieved in June this year. So now we have the full rate of production of the A320 door in Plovdiv. So Plovdiv starts slowly with the racks. The COVID arrived and it was blocking a little bit everything. But just after the COVID, we decided by changing the footprint to load Plovdiv by additional activity. And we also decided that Plovdiv will be the European assembly facility of Latécoère. A320 doors are there. We are on the way to sign new product with some will come from Airbus, some will come with some other supplier. And the goal that we have is to extend the site that we have at this time. If we are efficient on the activity that we are doing now, this is my goal and the goal of the company and the facility, to extend this facility to be able to put in 2015 and 16 additional product. At this time we are 400 people working there.
So what would that mean in terms of numbers? How many people would you need in the near future and also in the long term? And as well, what volume are you expecting here from Bulgaria to be produced for your clients?
So the goal is Airbus is asking us to be ready for 75 airplanes per month. So 75, one airplane is 4 doors. We have half of the production. Half is in China, half is in Latécoère. So if we consider 80 divided by 2 is 40 airplanes per month, 4 doors per airplane, so it's 40 doors per week. Okay, so it's 40 doors per week is 8 per day. So for the aeronautic industry, when I was saying we are completely different than the automotive, 8 doors per day is a huge rate. Is the high volume rate of Airbus.
No robotics, no automation, not so much.
Yes, it's manual activity. We have an automated riveting machine for this product that we developed also some years ago, but it's still a lot of manual activity. There are 400, 250 direct workers and 150 people running around them, manufacturing engineering, quality, inspection, procurement, purchasing, human resources and training center. The goal is to, of course, improve the efficiency, improve the organization, improve the flow and to reduce the WIP as we discussed, but we need to go till 600, 700 people. So this is the target that we have for the coming years. Connected with this, we need to train. We discussed about that. So we decide, we were using our own training center, a small one that we have inside the facility, and we are using also here in Sofia SFT. The goal that I have is to have my own training center to stop. It's complicated for the people from Plovdiv going to Sofia each day, 1 hour and a half, 1 hour and a half. It's very heavy. So we are going to rethink about this training activity, and we are going to create something in Plovdiv, a dedicated area that will be our training center, two phases of this ramp up to improve the way we are training the people and to be sure that we will reach the target that we have in front of us on the increase of the rate requested by the customer.
And this is showing also the local community and also here the central government that you're quite strong in regard to staying here, because opening up a training center locally means quite a commitment.
Yes, sure. Our industry, it's because of the quality, when you want to move something, it's very, very complicated because the customer is requesting a lot of quality results. Yeah. With the rate and with the difficulty that we have to increase the rate, imagine if we need to change the activity and move the activity, we need to produce more to be able to move the jigs.
Don't care where it is produced, they only care about the quality stays the same.
Yeah, yes, sure. And duplication of jigs is very expensive. Yeah. So when we want to move a line, we need to make what we call a ramp up, ramp down, or buffer. But buffer at this time, with the issue we had on the increase of the production, is very, very hard to do. So our goal is to be efficient there. We have a lot of work to do because the facility is new. The facility was not facing this huge volume of production. Now we need to be ready for 2024, 2025. This is tomorrow. So we have some months in front of us to manage this correctly and to be stronger on the organization.
And one inevitable question, obviously, speaking about all of this, is the R&D, the research and development. There is not so much changes relating to the parts that you're producing. In regard to the aviation industry, is quite conservative, but nevertheless, new products might come. And for example, Boeing is starting to redesign their middle of the market aircraft. So 737 is already obsolete. Yes. Probably we're going to see new products from Airbus as well. Yes. And we have the AI. So we have now artificial intelligence, which is not kind of the revolution that the media is trying to portray it, because it's here it was here before that, but nevertheless, where is the R&D part of your business focused? Is it still in France or in other parts of the world, and how it is transforming, having in mind everything that is going on in this AI revolution that we're facing?
So when we decide to change the footprint, we decided to push the elementary part production in Czech Republic, as I said, and we have a facility in, close to Toulouse, in Montredon, it was the 4.0 facility. So we are going to empty it by moving all the machinery that is there to Czech Republic. And now in this facility, we start to develop our composite development center. So we already bought a new machine. Because the composite, we know, we are quite sure that the new airplanes are going to be in composite because of the weight. So we need to be ready. Being ready, what does it mean? It means that we need to be close to our customer, Airbus and Boeing, to know on which direction they want to go. And the day the airplane will arrive, the new airplane will arrive, if we want to participate, we need to be ready. Yeah. So we need to run in parallel of them by helping them when we can, by taking the knowledge that we need to have to be ready when this new airplane is going to come. So we have a big R&D activity in the central entity in Toulouse. We developed this composite development center to maintain the relation, the close relation with Boeing and Airbus, and to be sure that we will be on the good type of activity when the new airplanes are going to come 2030, 2035, 2040. So this is important for us. Sure, we need to stay in our type of work. So part of fuselage, doors. The goal is not to try to do something different, but staying in our type of industry, we need to be ready. And for this, we have, yes, we developed the R&D. Engineering, we have also a strong engineering in Central that will stay in Central. We have some people that are also in Embraer, in Brazil, in our facility, not in Embraer, in San José dos Campos, in our facility in Brazil, because in Brazil there is a huge competence, so we are able to put an engineering there, because Embraer is there. More complicated in Czech Republic, more complicated in Bulgaria. Yeah. The knowledge of the people is not at the level expected for this activity. So we decide to keep it in Central, in Toulouse, and so research and development, engineering activity, and development activity.
So you already shared quite a few of your plans for the future, and that is the last part of our conversation today. But yeah, regarding aerostructures, not much will be changed in the future, but still we are going to see a shift from the propulsion that we know right now at the moment. So fuel, the standardization of yeah, exactly. But we're going to move towards probably electricity, hydrogen, and so on, and there are going to be new preconditions also for the parts that you're producing. So aerostructure needs to be made lighter, stiffer, new materials are going to enter the market, and so on. So what are you seeing for the future in that respect? And also on that question, how carbon intensive is your production now, and what are your plans in that respect to, as we know, quite a lot of the industry in Europe especially is moving towards carbon neutrality. Yeah. How ahead are you in that process as well?
We are participating of the production of the airplane, but as you said, we are doing the structure of the airplane. So we are not working on engines and this type of activities. Structure, we already developed the 787 doors that are in composite, and before the door were in aluminium. Okay, so we have the two knowledge, I will say. We are able to perform doors in aluminium, design and build product. We are making the design, and we are also doing the development and the production. So we are able to work on composite activity, as we do on the 787, the Dreamliner. We are doing all the door for the Dreamliner, and aluminium part. So we need to maintain, we are thinking that the future airplane will be in composite. And we want to be ready on this activity, so it's why we are doing this development center.
You can say you're future-proofed in that respect.
Yes, we start to work in parallel with the customer to maintain this. We are not decision maker. We are going to respect the choice and the decision that Airbus, Boeing, they are going to take, but we want to be part of the story with them. After us, we do our best. We in Plovdiv, example, we install a solar panel around the facility. So we need to try to, we need to implement the maximum we can new way of acting to protect the planet, first of all. And we are using also a surface treatment activity in Czech Republic. We have the same in France. So we are jumping in the new REACH regulation. We need to respect the law. We need to respect the new processes, and we need to try to have one step in advance all the time. But with the activity that we are doing, I would say.
So is that? Okay. Yeah. Final question. Does that involve a lot of investment on your part as well, in order to make the production much more efficient?
Sure, because we need to buy. We have a park of machine. If we are taking machine and if we are taking elementary part production, we have machines that are the one that we were using in the past. So with the new technology, we need to develop a new machine and adapt the machine with the new technology that we are going to face. So yes, we need to invest and we need to develop some machine with some support of dedicated supplier that we have. That are helping us to develop and to automatize the assembly activity. So yes, investment is needed. We need to manage them because at this time we are still growing, we are still delivering, but we are just out of the COVID crisis. So we need also to be sure that we are investing correctly on the good machine that will be needed in the future. So we are in the middle of the bridge.